Thank you. Thanks. Was good, thank you. Not funny, eh? Not funny, I know. Please, here you go. Maybe I will be alright for the balance. Yes, sir. Very nice. Thank you. Maybe for you as well. Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks.
C'est miss in Nederlandstalig? Nederlands? No, en français? Français, no, all English is good. English, it is okay, thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Gonna make a small boat tour today from a small half an hour in the inner city of Brugge. Enjoy the view in this nice weather today, huh? So, to start our boat tour, please, right in front of us we have the two oldest bridges from Brugge. The first one is called the Mee Bridge from the 14th century. The second one is the Horse Bridge from the 15th. So both are authentic but renovated. So the oldest bridge from Brugge is more than 600 years old. If we're going to pass the oldest bridge, you need to look on your left hand side and you're going to see the black metal things on the facade, on the facade. And the black metal things, they were actually used to stabilize the constructions to make the level stronger. It pulls the construction together. So you can find it on the most of the houses here in the city Brugge to stabilize them. Right here on your left hand side we have a small tea house, and it was typical for the 19th century. It was only for the very wealthy. It's also quite unique, a tea house on the canal side. On your right hand side we have the canal connection to the city Ghent, and is 45 kilometers away from Brugge. It was very important for the trade between the two cities. Canal connection, city Ghent. Also a beautiful medieval city, but Brugge is more beautiful. So here on the canals in Brugge is only for the company boats, it's not for private use. In total 20 boats and 5 different companies. So these boats right here were especially made for the boat tours on the canals in Brugge. So there's a limit for boats to company. It's not like in Amsterdam. In Amsterdam it's all together. Private boats and company boats. Behind this building, we're going to see the top of the St. Walburga Church from the 15th century. It has a very beautiful Baroque style inside of it. So actually here in Brugge we have 21 churches. I think it's quite a lot for a small city as Brugge, only in the inner city. On your right hand side we have the most important canal connection in the history of Brugge. It goes to the North Sea and is 15 kilometers away from Brugge, goes to the city of Stent. So the North Sea is just straight ahead from here. But back in the days the sea came to the Sand Square, it came to the city Brugge. Unbelievable, but the sea pulled back. So that's why the medieval harbour was very important for the trade in Europe. The medieval harbour of the 15th century. The most important products were fabrics and lace, the Brugge lace. Excuse me. So imagine it was very busy here back in the Middle Ages. So if you look good, you can still see the rings to attach the boats, authentic from the 16th, 17th. I think it's amazing as well. And here in front of you is the statue of Jan van Eyck. He was the most known Flemish primitive painter in history. You can find a lot of his work in the Groningen Museum. It's just a bit further on our tour. Jan van Eyck. And here above the blue board in the red door, the two angry scary faces, they were actually used to keep the bad spirits out of the houses. Quite a religion back in the days. The angry masks to keep the bad spirits out. Here on your right hand side on the pink house we're going to see a statue, Madonna with a child. And around the 17th century it was used to pay less taxes. So here in Brugge we have more than 300 statues, Madonna with a child. Really a lot of them. And here the most of the houses on the canal side in Brugge are all dated around the 17th century. This canal side, all the houses around the 17th. So you can see the construction date on top from this house, 16, all around the 17th. If you pay attention to it, you're gonna find them a lot. Another statue, Madonna with child. And here on your left hand side we have a beautiful example of the step gables. They are typical for the lower countries, such as the north of the French and the Netherlands. And here above the board you have another scary mosque, another scary mask. So here the most of the houses on the canal side are very expensive. This house on your right is for sale and you can count on an 8,000 to 10,000 euros per square meter. So quite expensive it is, and anyway it's not for me. So the prices are a little bit similar to the city Paris or Amsterdam. Here on your right we have a small statue, Madonna, excuse me, we have a small statue, and the statue is the mascot of the city Brugge, and a little statue of a bear, the Brugge bear, the mascot of Brugge. I think you can imagine, but this view that we have right here is very loved and very known by the artists, by the painters, with the two oldest bridges and the former Palace of Justice. When the water is flat, it's a beautiful reflection on the canal. That's why it's very loved and very beautiful to paint as well. Right here in front of you we have the former Palace of Justice from the 17th century, but it has a typical Gothic style from the 12th. You can see it on the bows and the four little towers, actually pigeon towers. The former Palace of Justice. It's a beautiful construction. And on your left hand side we have also the fish market, 19th century, constructed in an imperialistic style, typical with the pillars, and every morning from Tuesday until Saturday it's still possible to buy some fresh fish, of course. The fish market was actually built by the man of Napoleon. It was a kind of a gift, the fish market. By the way, we're going to see the Rozenhutkai, and it's the most photographed corner of the city Brugge. Reason why? You have everything of Brugge and one photo. You have the boats, you have the canals, the typical houses, the belfry tower, and around the corner we have the Church of Our Lady. So, most photographed from this spot to this spot, most photographed. Here on your right hand side we have place to be, and they have more than 1,000 beers inside of it. Not bad at all. They have also a shop with all the typical Belgian products. Place to be. More than 1,000 beers, one at a time please. Church of Our Lady, 122 meters high, and is the highest one in Europe, built in the tiny little bricks. Inside the church, you have the world-famous artwork of Michelangelo, Madonna with Child. The Church of Our Lady was actually built in 3 centuries, 12th, 13th and 14th, so it took more than 300 years to build it. Anyway, it's impressive. So I think this is a nice, beautiful view at the church. So it's amazing, all in the tiny little bricks. Right in front of you we have probably the most important, right in front of us we have the most beautiful bridge from Brugge. You can call it the St. Bonifacius or the Lantern Bridge. It's the most photographed bridge for the marriages. And all of this here, it was the palace of the lords from Gruithuizen. And one of the reasons they became that rich was because they were selling the spice grit for brewing the beers. It was one of the most important families in history of Brugge, the Palace of Gruithuizen. right hand side we have another amazing view at the Church of Our Lady. It's very impressive, this view. A little bit difficult with the sun, but very impressive. Right in front of you we have one of the two former hospitals of Brugge. The old St. John's Hospital from the 12th century, and is one of the oldest former hospitals here in Europe. It was a hospital until the year 1975, the old St. John's Hospital. And just right here we have the old entrance to the hospital for the boats back in the days. So with the boats it was a lot faster for the people that were injured. I think you noticed already, but Brugge was really made for boats. That's why they're calling it the Venice of the North, but I think you knew that already. Ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention, for the next bridge is the lowest one in the city. Brugge we're going under today. So mind your heads please, lowest bridge. Pretty low it is, huh? Alright, now we are also entering single lake of love for the Water Park. There's also the place of the swans down here, and the Brugge all over the city. We have 150 swans, the Brugge swans. There's a long story behind the Brugge swans, eh? Takes more than a half an hour, not for the moment. But it was a cursed gift, it was a punishment for Brugge. Today I think it's a beautiful punishment. The bridge is the only entrance to the Brugge Beguinage, 13th century. You have no more Begins, but Sisters of the Benedictine Order. The Brugge Beguinage. It's also all here when you ride, it was all the Beguinage. And here the Lake of Love with the Brugge swans. Beautiful. Right in front of you we have the Lock House, very important for the city Brugge, to control the water level in the inner city. The water after the building is 1 meter higher than the second part of the Lake of Love. You can see the looks good downstairs of it, and the Lock House is already in use from the 18th century and still in use today. Unbelievable. So here we have a statue of Madonna with Child, and above the entrance as well. Really a lot of statues, Madonna with Child. And here on your right hand side we have the oldest brewery, the Half Moon, 16th century, still brewing 2 beers today. It's called Brugge and Stravigentrik. It's one of the 2 breweries left in the inner city. The other one is Brugge de Flandres from the 18th. The both are possible to visit and to taste the house beers. Sometimes you can notice the smell from the birdhouse. You need to like it. Oldest brewery. So the Brugge is the most known one, eh? It's even exported to China as well, so it must be a nice beer. If you have the chance to it, you need to try it. It's a very nice beer. You can find it everywhere in the city Brugge. So attention for the bridge please, lowest bridge, mind your heads please. Right here we're going to have a nice view of the 3 most important towers in our city. The St. Salvatius Cathedral, the Church of Our Lady, and the Belfry on the Market Square. So this is the oldest tower of Brugge, the St. Sabatius Cathedral at the end of the 11th century. So back in the days, they used to construct the towers just to show off how rich and how strong the city was. So high as possible. So the golden ages for Brugge were between the 12th and the 15th century. You can still see it there. Brugge was a very powerful city back in the Middle Ages. So now you have New York or London are the center of economy. So Brugge was like New York or London of the Middle Ages. It all started here in Brugge, the economy. So right here we're going to see the old entrance to the city Brugge for the boats back in the days, and they needed to pay taxes for the lords of Brugge. So they built it the smallest spy window of the city Brugge, to spy on the boats if they needed to pay the taxes or don't needed to pay them. It's also one of the reasons the lords of Brugge became that rich, owing the taxes. The smallest window of Brugge, you can find it on the left hand side of the bridge, the second scaffold, second step on the facade right ahead of you. Spy window of the Lords of Brugge. Second step, second scaffold. And it was just you on your left hand side at this gate that you needed to pay the taxes. They were waiting for you. And here we have another thing with Brugge. The Brugge Bridge was very important for the family for transport for the spices. Constructed in 3 stages and 3 centuries, 17, 16, 15. So a different century, a different brick they have used. Very obvious. 17-1, 16-1, 15-1. And this is the oldest one, and obvious with the stalactites. Pretty old it is. So, ladies, gentlemen, to finish our boat tour today, please, then you are free to go. The water level in Brugge is 2 and 3 meters. We also have 41 bridges in Brugge. All the canals together are 17 kilometers long. Today we did 5 of them, and we call them the ranges or the rayon. Population in the inner city today is around 20,000 people, to be exactly 21,000 in the inner city. That's not that much for a city, yeah? But back in the Middle Ages, that was 40,000. Quite well and quite amazing as well. On your left hand side we have the other brewery, Brugge, the Flanders. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So I guess this is the end of our boat tour. Thank you for your visit and for your attention as well. I hope you enjoyed it, and I wish you all the best here in this beautiful city. Have a very good time in Brugge, but I don't think there's going to be any problem at all. For sure, with this nice weather and with the many good beers. With good beers, everything's good. So if you enjoyed the boat tour, a very small tiny tip, always welcome. But most of all, enjoy your sunny evening at Brugge. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Cheers.